We've mentioned several times about the problems we've had with Airbnb, but today it's the positives and setting you up for success.
We're going to give you some of the things that we really like about staying in an Airbnb, and then some of the ways that we use to try to make our stays better, to hopefully help you make your stays better.
Let's go. Away we go traveling.
First up for us, because we are slow traveling in the United States in an SUV, we like the ability to book larger spaces. Contrasting to a hotel room that may only have one room, maybe if you get a suite, you might have a bedroom. We like getting larger spaces in the Airbnb platform, include at least one bedroom, sometimes two, and we've had stays with 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And those spaces, obviously, because you've got the bedroom space, you're also usually going to get a kitchen, you're going to get multiple bathrooms, you're going to have laundry facilities, all these things that make the long-term stays, if you're as a slow traveler, really pleasant as compared to maybe being crammed in a hotel room for that period of time. It's a house again. There's a couple other ones out here, but this whole one is ours. We have a nice little porch. And we got a door. Oh, there's Kara and Molly. And then TV, got a living room, and there's a kitchen, laundry, bathroom, dishwasher, hell yeah.
Dishwasher, yay!
Very excited about small things now. And then little hallway, and then there's another bedroom here, and then we've got second bedroom, and then third bathroom. All right, that's the new one. That's first up for us, is making sure that we've got space to sort of spread out a little bit, because we are kind of compacted in our lives in the SUV. We like to be able to get into a space that's a little more home-like, and to be able to sort of expand out, have a nice living room, have a couch, and obviously be able to have a kitchen to cook our meals in, keep those costs under control. So that's number one for the Airbnb, and a big positive over the hotel.
As Gary mentioned, we try to find Airbnb or Furnish Finder, whatever our stay option, with a kitchen so we can keep our budget and costs under control, and laundry, because it's the small things when you don't have to go somewhere else to do laundry. It feels a little bit more like home.
It is really nice.
So the other benefit of an Airbnb or Furnish Finder, whatever kind of platform you choose to go with, is the unique stays opportunities you have. So one of the things we love about this full-time travel, and maybe this is a full-time travel benefit too, but we get to have very different experiences. We have loved where we've lived in our normal regular life before we started traveling, but we have seen some things while traveling that are just phenomenal. We stayed in a log cabin that looked more like a ski chalet in the mountains of Vermont and watched the leaves change. It was breathtaking. We stayed in a bungalow 2 blocks from the Atlantic Ocean, from the beach in Myrtle Beach. We have stayed in the middle of a thriving neighborhood in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and in St. Louis, Missouri. Place that is so different. All of these stays are so unique, but they're so fun. And we get to have all these very different, unique experiences that I just don't think we would have done otherwise.
Yeah, I think most of the time when you look at a hotel, you're probably going to be closer to a city center, which is really nice if you're trying to do walkable things. And I think in general, that's a good thing if you're trying to be walkable, if you're trying to go into a city and integrate yourself there. But we've been able to get a couple of stays. We've sort of been off the beaten path. You know, the Vermont stay was out in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing around us other than cows. And, you know, really unique that you're not going to find a hotel that's going to allow you to do what we did there. And it was just great.
If you like what you're seeing and you're learning some stuff, come along on the journey with us. I'm Kara.
I'm Gary.
We are Away We Go Traveling, and we are traveling full-time in the United States with our dog, Molly, who's 14 years old. No end in sight for this journey, so let's have some fun.
Next up, because we are slow traveling, and Airbnb gives a discount for 28 days or more. And then in some places, 30 or 31 days, they remove the taxes for that month as well. So there's some really good discounts to be had. But because we're in these places for a longer term, we sort of get to integrate ourselves into the community and live a little more like a local, rather than showing up as a vacationer on a Friday and leaving on Sunday night and only hitting the very tippy top of the best things to do in that city. We get to find the hidden gems. We get to talk to the locals when we go places and ask where they eat, Where do they go to have fun? We can expand our radius out a little bit because we are traveling with a car, and maybe we find a city or something that's not exactly next to us, but has a really cool experience. So for us, it's neat being able to spend some time in a place. As I said, sort of live as though you're in that community.
And going for walks, one of the things I love about being able to see neighborhoods on foot, because when you're in a car, everything goes by so quickly that when you're walking your dog, walking in the neighborhood, going for a run, whatever you do, walking to the store, you can see so much more personality in places. And we get the opportunity to see that.
That's true. Where we are here, I've got a dog that will not let me pet her. And I'm going to make it happen because I walk past her every day. And every day she barks at me. And the owner says she doesn't let people pet her. I'm going to get her. I'm going to walk past enough times. She's going to appreciate it. So that's something I could never do as a vacationer. Yeah. But because I'm here long term and I have a walk route, I see her every day. I'm going to pet that dog.
You have a month. I have faith in you.
I do.
One of the other big benefits of staying in an Airbnb or Furnish Finder is that you have a host who probably cares about you having a good time, about the property that you're staying in. And we have had hosts that have gone above and beyond. Some very nice experiences. Hotels, of course, care. The hosts are really motivated to make sure you have a good time, probably because you rate them and they rate you. But for example, when we stayed in Lubec, Maine, as soon as we checked into the Airbnb, we opened the fridge and the host had left us a mimosa spread, a beautiful glassware and champagne and orange juice. It was really nice. And it was just a really unexpected treat that made us very excited to have the couple weeks that we did there.
Yeah, it's nice when you show up and you have something really nice right away.
And we had another one where they left us fresh fruit and chocolates, and not just a welcoming gift, but also how well things are stocked. There might be laundry detergent or dishwashing detergent or any number of niceties that the host went above and beyond of what they really needed to do, and it makes our stay even better.
Next up, and it's not that big of a deal if you're overseas using an Airbnb and you don't have a car, but in our case, we do have a car. So it's really nice for us. Whenever we go places, we have dedicated parking. Rather than a hotel where we're in a big hotel lot and you have to kind of worry about whether anybody's messing with your car or you're in a parking garage somewhere, we typically park right in front of the place that we're staying. There's a driveway or there's dedicated street parking, or there's a garage, or there's a space that you have that's sort of off to the side. It's really nice having that for us as an amenity. And as a slow traveler in the US, that is a significant amenity for us. Okay, so now we're going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we do to increase our chances of having a good Airbnb stay. And I would say number one for this is when you're looking at a listing, take a look at every picture that's in there, zoom in on those pictures, note all the things that are in there, note the things you don't see, and then reach out to the host and ask questions. It's always good to do any sort of communication prior to the stay with the host to get an idea of how fast they respond, what sort of response you get to questions about that. And if you're looking for something important, like in our case, we're really concerned about Wi-Fi, ask the Wi-Fi speed, or ask, do they have a coffee maker if you don't see it in the kitchen picture, or ask about how the laundry is configured. It doesn't matter what you ask. Have some sort of dialogue in advance for something you care about to see how they respond. But that listing itself will give you a lot of ideas as to what you should be expecting when you get there.
And then some chances, like when we were in Maine, we asked if there was a coffee maker. There wasn't. And they said it was only K-cups. And then when we got there, they had actually bought one since we
bought a coffee maker, and they had a coffee maker for us.
Because we asked about it. So it was great. So another tip, when you're looking at Airbnb, read the reviews. Read every single review. Even if it's a 5-star, read every word of it. Because there is a little bit of I wouldn't call it a game, but it's a little bit of an agreement between hosts and guests that nobody rates each other down necessarily too hard. So you may see a 5-star review, but there are a couple things in there that might be a warning for you. And if your host has other properties, if you click on the picture of the host, you will see if they have other properties. Read the reviews of the other properties too, because you'll get to see what kind of property management goes on for this specific owner.
Man, that's a good tip. Next up, in addition to looking at all the pictures, read the entire listing. There's a lot of words in there. Hit the little expanders and read all of the house rules, because a lot of times there's some things that are buried pretty far deep down there that change some of the things that you see at the top. In our case, in the current stay, and it's not a huge issue, but the address is listed in our current stay at one place. If you read all the way down to the bottom of the house rules, and I'm sure I read it at one point, but I didn't pay attention. It's my own fault.
Same.
There's a letter B after the address. So when we were sending things to ourselves from Amazon, we were sending it to Not Let Her Be, and it was ending up at the neighbor's house.
Neighbor.
So just those kind of things that you can get some clues in there, it's not a problem, but it's something that the listing called out, but you got to read all the way to the bottom to find it. So expand all those columns, read all the information about the stay. Expectation management is very important in this case. If you know something is going to be an issue, but you're okay with it in advance, that's okay. It's never okay to show up and be surprised by those types of issues.
And another tip, if your stay is ever unsafe or unhealthy, you can talk to Airbnb, especially if you stay in platform, if you use that platform specifically, and they have a customer support team that can help you through any kind of issues. That is why it is so important if you are communicating with your host or if you are a host with your guest, stay in the app, stay on the Airbnb platform. Don't communicate through text message or WhatsApp or anything like that. Even if they try to move it off platform, take a screenshot or something of whatever was said, put it back inside the platform so you have a record to keep yourself safe. Or if you really just want to know what all was covered, if they did a really good job, so you can reference those things in your very positive 5-star review. Either way, keep everything in the platform when you communicate.
Yeah, and if you have an issue and all that communication has taken place and it ends up being something where you feel unsafe or unhealthy for whatever reason, whatever those things are, you can get refunds for the remainder of your time. Airbnb will help you move to a new location. So you never have to really worry about that. Just, again, do your due diligence in advance. And then when you get there, note everything and your stay should be okay. For us, as far as how we book these, normally what we do is when we're doing our route planning, we'll figure out what city we want to go to. And then we kind of do a little circle, about 8 hours around that location and try to figure out what cities are in that area.
8 hours because it's as much as we want to drive.
Yeah, much as we want to drive in any one day. So when we're leaving that location, we don't want to have to go too far. Most of the time we've been between 5 and 7. I think we have one that's maybe 8 hours, but we try to keep that circle fairly small. And when we're looking for those things, we're looking for what those cities have for us, what sort of entertainment we can have for those 30 days, what the rates look like for each of those cities. As I said, the cutoff at 28 days starts giving you a discount. And then I start looking at the 30 and 31 day to see if the taxes fall off. And then from there, I can kind of pick which city I want to go from there. So once we decide based on the pricing, based on the taxes, based on the location, based on what we want to do, and we go there, we're living our lives in a new location. Like Tara said in a previous video, we're doing ordinary things in extraordinary places. Use this time, use this slow travel time to expand your horizons, go to places you wouldn't necessarily have been before. Use the Airbnb platform to your advantage. Find those places that are inexpensive, find those places that have some really cool activities to do, and get out there and explore.
Yeah. And remember, this is an adventure. Sometimes things won't go exactly as planned. Sometimes you find yourself in a city where things aren't as familiar as you would like. Maybe your favorite places aren't there and you have to learn new things. But that is not a bug. That's a feature. This is an adventure. Have fun.
Thanks for watching.
Happy traveling. Boom. Boom.
Done and done.
Love it.
Done and dusted, as what's her name says.
British.